you gone through the process of watching back some of the game? So anything stand out?
Yeah, we met with the guys. We're going to comb through certain areas tomorrow when we get to the rink specifically for the players. Today is more of a rest your body and your brain type of day. Guys that didn't play will skate. I thought we checked really well from start to finish, particularly the third period when we need to, manage the puck. Didn't allow them to have a big push. I think their push came in the second, and we got some great saves from Logan in around the net when they had that. But there's other areas I think we could be cleaner. Ozone able to generate a little more. There was some areas I think we have to revisit that you don't play a team for a while and you talk about it, you got to live it a little bit. So that's the part of the game I think we can improve on. Loved our special teams, very efficient on the power play, did a good job in the PK. So that's how I looked at it.
Do you let yourself try to anticipate what their adjustments might be?
Yeah, I always think you're looking ahead at certain things. Even yesterday and today we have stuff we looked at and said, okay, this may or may not happen, so let's be prepared to show it or talk about it. I think one of the things I've learned over the years is you can be over-prepared for a playoff series going into Game 1 where you give the players all this information. It's like, well, wait a minute, can we just play hockey a little bit here? So I think you have to manage yourself as a staff because, listen, we had free time. We want to get our work done. Every staff in the league's probably like that where they have a lot of information and how much to give to the players. So hopefully we piece it together accordingly, don't get caught by surprise by anything that we haven't alerted the players to. But that comes a little more on face-off plays against a good team like Dallas. They can do some different things. And situational hockey that, like I said, you can't overload players. Let them play, give them the tendencies of the team, and then as you go along, we can talk about tomorrow what they may try to do differently, but we're not going to go through every area because, like I said, we can't get in their heads. But we played them last year, so we have a bit of an idea, how things will go, and they'll do the same. They'll probably look at, well, what did they do last year as they went along to prepare their team a little bit better, and that's just part of the sort of chess match of playoff hockey.
Nick Hague left the game late last night. Do you expect him to be available tomorrow?
We'll see in the morning skate where he's at. Like I said, none of the guys that played today were skating, to my knowledge, that they were given the option to do that. So will he be on the morning skate will give us the best indicator of where his status is.
You said last night that you think you need to generate more offense after watching it back. Is that still something you think needs to happen?
I liked our first period, and not just because we scored more there, but we had some second chances. I think Howie was in tight on a bang-bang play. Hurdle had a rebound chance, so we were generating a little more around the net. We didn't seem to get as many pucks there later, so the how was answered in the first period, that why didn't we in the second and third? Well, some of that was them. Some of it was score-related in the third, but the second, we should have been better in those areas. I thought in the second period when we got over the blue line, we didn't make good decisions on how we were going to attack next. We made some lateral plays that came back at us. They got a 2-on-1 on a play that we started with the puck, and I think Petro broke it up with Duchesne and Seguin on a 2-on-1. Another one I think was Will's line going through over the blue line. Could they have put it to the net instead? Just different things like that. That's where I feel like the eye test backed up what I watched. Where once we get over the blue line, how can we penetrate better? What are the different options for us, playing off the shot versus chipping versus turning up versus maybe over-supporting the original entry? There's different terms we'll use, but that's where we can improve.
A lot of the players were talking about transition defense and it got way better as the game went on, and they kept saying they're one of the best transition teams in the league. Do you feel like if you do limit their transition that it'll be okay if the puck's in your zone a little bit more?
Well, if we limit their transition and they're going to try to make plays, then we'll be retransitioning, so to speak. So that's good. We like that. We feel we're a good rush defending team when we're on our game and checking well and get going the other way is how we counterpunch. Did it great last year throughout April and May. We might spend a little more time if they decide, well, we got to go play behind them and break it out. And yes, we would be spending more time. Then it becomes how efficient are our breakouts. And I thought in the first period, we were either really good getting out or we turned it over. There was kind of no in between where it was off the glass and out, and it's a kind of a neutral zone forecheck. So execution came into play there, and their good sticks came into play. So, yeah, if we're defending, usually if we don't give up much on the rush, that's what a team will have to do to create offense, and that's when the time goes up in our end. We know that, and we're okay with that. It was probably a little bit of that in the third, but we didn't give up much in the third that I can remember. The goal, obviously, wasn't a shot that we're upset about giving up. And then the 6-on-5, I think they had an angle shot from Ben, but for the most part, we kept the front of our net clean.
Is that hurdle goal a good example of what he gives you, right? Wins a draw, goes to the net, uses his size, bangs one in.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of, Dallas will give you a little bit of that early on. They want to punch out on the half wall and put pressure on there, so it gives them something to think about when you have that element. Still got to execute the play and get it there. And I think his deflection, sometimes that deflection the goalie saves, sometimes the deflection goes off net, sometimes you don't deflect it. He happened to deflect it right back to himself and collected it, right? So that is more what he does well. I've seen that more than once now. He deflected one in overtime against Colorado recently, but he also has been able to corral those pucks around there because it's not a deflection and I'm done type of thing. It's I'm doing something with a purpose so I can get the puck and use my body and quick hands in front. And I've seen that a lot out of them, even though they don't all result in goals, and you watch it in practice.
But that's a unique package, right? That size.
Well, it is.
Combination.
It is. I mean, Mark Stone does that well, and we've used him net front before he got injured. Now we're going to try him in the bumper spot. Jamie Benn does it great for them. It's why they've had a good power play. There's guys around the league and go through all the different teams, but Hyman's a little different animal how he does it, but he's terrific in there, and that's why their power play is multi-dimensional. We know there's 97 in Draisaitl, but at the end of the day, he adds an element. So if we can build that element into our power play, now things open up away from there, and that's where your bumper shots with Stone and Marchessault and Jack become dangerous. So it gives other teams, they can't just sort of key on one thing, and that's what he's brought in the limited time he's been here. And look at our power play numbers compared to where all year they've gone through the roof with him. Now Hannafin's getting pucks there too, that helps. And it could be a short sample size, but I believe that's one of his best skill sets and particularly evident on the power play.
I was just going to ask that. Is this the most confident you've been in the power play?
I thought we got going earlier this year, to be honest with you, and we had the righty Jack, Stoney and Marsh along the three, Jack on his offside. I thought it was starting to come. But he is the true net presence if we're not putting Mark there, and allows us to use Mark in another spot. I like him in the bumper, Mark. I like Marshy there. We were starting to see results with Marsh there. Now Stoney's in there. So both units should be a threat from there in the middle of the ice, and that usually creates anxiety for teams if you're getting pucks into the slot, because the goalie really, those become high danger in a hurry if there's any time at all to get your shot off. So that's when it'll be dangerous. So yes, short of when we were starting to go at the start of the year, not start, maybe more November, December, whenever it was, I forget, but yes, it looks good right now and has for the last 2-3 weeks.
You kind of touched on it, but now having Mark back, you move Marchessault to the second unit. We didn't see the second unit last game.
That's a good thing, Danny. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. But
unless
now,
we're taking penalties on it.
right. But now you kind of have that balance up front now with Mark there as well.
Well, I believe that the second unit, all of a sudden, when you're talking about Theodore, Carlson, Marchessault, Pietrangelo, I mean, that was our first unit for a long time, and so that they're no slouches either. And you can have Nick Waugh in front, who have Barbashev, who have different guys there. So I like the balance it brings. If one unit's having an off night, or you're not overtaxing one unit either, both in terms of putting pressure on them and physically for being out there any longer than they have to be. They both have good face-off guys in each group, both good trigger. I mean, Marsh's our leading goal scorer, right? So usually he lands in the first power play. So let's not write a story about that either now, right? That, this idiot coach put his leading scorer on the second unit. So we're looking at him as 1A and 1B right now. And I like Marshy in the bumper. That's why it's Stoney. And so it's a good problem to have when they're both good there.
Mark wasn't 100% satisfied with his game last night. Same situation last year, his first game back. Do you remember the leap he made from game 1 to game 2 last year? And if so, how does he address that quickly?
I think there was a lot of pressure on him last year in game 1. I think our team was like, Stoney's back. He's gonna carry us. And it's like, guys, he hasn't played in a long time. I don't think we helped him at all last year. We were not good as a team. Obviously didn't coach the game well. And this year, I think we're much more prepared for the re-entry into the team. once we knew he was going to play, and the expectations, I think the players, they didn't know till the last minute, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, let's not go through what we did last year, and just think he's going to, and it's going to be the same tomorrow. He's going to, if you remember last year, the hits started coming from everybody in every direction in a specific area of his body because everyone knew that. So he's going to have to be prepared to battle through every night, and that's just part of being a good player. You tend to circle those guys, and I think our guys did a better job last night of saying, okay, Stoney, welcome back, but just do your part, and we'll do ours. And that was the sort of the different mindset maybe from a year ago.
Thompson wants that one back, but at least it didn't hurt you.
What's that?
Thompson wants that one back, but at least it didn't hurt you. Did you just shake that one off?
Well, what's good about it is, and I can say it now, I wasn't thinking it then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is that, okay, adversity for a first playoff game goaltender, right? There it was. It's 4-3, the building, and now all of a sudden it's loud. They got life. They didn't have much before that. So how's he going to respond? He responded very well. He stood in there. Like I said, so did the team. The team didn't crumble. The team didn't say, oh, you know what, not our night, here they come. Whatever goes through your head really quickly. We just got back to work. So, in this case, it turned into a positive building experience for him. And we didn't have to pay a severe price for it. So good for Logan for battling. That's part of it. I discussed it with one of the other writers the other day. It's what happens after that goal. Is it going to become 2 and 3? And look at Carolina last night again. The Vancouver game, they tie the game, they get a quick one. Like, you got to be really on your toes at this time of the year, and he was, and so was the team. So it ends up being a good thing for him to go through. In the long run, hopefully that's something that helps his next time he has to kind of face that situation.
You mentioned that in the first game of the playoffs, sometimes players can get a little anxious and everything. With the start that you guys had yesterday, do you feel like the composure was there from the get-go, and was it as good as you've seen it all year?
Well, there's nothing better as a road team to start with usually, you don't like to start with a power play that early. You just haven't got into the game. You haven't felt the puck a lot. I'm going to guess the percentage on the power plays in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game is probably very low. Just in my experience, you're just not into the game yet, so it's easier for the team defending to get your clears and jump on people. And we get the goal, and we get another one. So now you're not chasing the game. You know that. You relax a little bit, especially as a road team. And for whatever reason this year, we were the only road team to win a game in round one. Now, I know Toronto did it last night, but so obviously the home teams have been ready to go. So that was good for us to relax and be able to just sort of get to our game and not panic if something bad happens. Sure enough, we give a breakaway goal, we miss coverage, not the end of the world. We still got the lead. So yes, I think it helped us a lot. And maybe, does it get in their heads? I don't know. They can only answer that. They lost all 3 game ones last year in their series. So I think Dallas is going to be fine in that regard. They know how to bounce back. They're a resilient group, but it's good for us to get the early lead.
Did you know the offside was offside before the goal went in, or did they find out after?
No. Sometimes you do if it's an extended sort of play, but Rogo, our video guy, was pretty quick on it. He felt pretty confident it was, and they didn't review it long, and it was offside. So caught a break. We caught a break there for sure. Now, having said that, the puck did go in off our guy's skate, so it wasn't like we gave up this, beautiful goal. It was a bit of a lucky break for them and a lucky break for us that it didn't count.
I'm curious to know what you thought of, I guess, the reception that Mark Stone got every time he touched the puck last night.
Yeah, he's become a villain because of this LTIR, and he's one of the greatest people, nicest people does lots of work in the community. I'm sure it affects him to hear some of the stuff, but he's got to block it out. He's done a great job with that. And usually, when you're a good player, that's some of the treatment you get. Like I said, the other team hones in on you, and maybe the crowd will too. So only he can answer how it affects him, but I think he's just going to go about his business and play hockey. I think, honestly, in games, sometimes you don't even hear that stuff, right? You're just playing. And it's probably more in between games if you're reading stuff that's unfortunate. But like I said, we're extremely happy to have him back and healthy. He's had 2-3 serious goes at it now, and hopefully this is the last time he has to go through one of those injuries.